Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to talk you through the absolute essentials that you need to start painting with acrylics, and I'll also go over some optional additional materials. Okay, so first you need something to paint on. This can be a canvas or it could be paper. For the canvas, it really doesn't matter what type you buy, especially starting out, so don't be too worried about finding the best one. I honestly just use whatever type I find in the local art shop that day. It is better though to have a pre-primed canvas. Like this one, this has been primed with acrylic gesso. This one is cotton unbleached, and you can find cheaper canvases that are a mixture of cotton and polyester. The most important thing is that it's suitable for acrylic. You'll also probably get these little wooden things with your canvas, and you can just insert them into the back corners of your canvas to make sure that the canvas stays tight while you're painting. But if you'd like a specific tutorial, just let me know in the comments. Or you can use paper. I'm not a massive fan of using paper. I prefer to work on a canvas. However, paper is a good alternative. Just make sure that you're buying paper that's specifically for either oil or acrylic paint, and that it's quite thick and strong. Otherwise, the paper won't withstand the paint and the water that you're applying. Next thing you need is your paint. When you're starting out, you can simply buy a box of small little tubs of paint in multiple colors. I did that when I was starting out, but honestly, I found that I just used certain colors and ignored the rest. This brand is a brand that I like to use. It's relatively cheap and it's very good. The shade you buy really doesn't matter. Once it's some shade of red, yellow, and blue. Like honestly, when one of these runs out and they don't have the shade I want in the art shop, I just buy whatever and make it work. It's also fun experimenting with new shades and seeing the color palette you get. And it's also really good just to have the primary colors when you're starting out, because it forces you to learn about mixing paints. Apart from them, I also use white and black to either make colors lighter or darker. Next, you need a palette. Sorry, there is loads of paint on this for my current painting, but this is just a plastic palette that has been, as you can see, completely destroyed. It's better to use plastic or glass. Don't ever use wood because the paint, especially acrylic paint, will just dry so quickly. If you don't have a palette, don't worry. You can just use a normal plate from the kitchen, which sometimes I use when I run out of space on my palette, and it works perfectly. Next, we need our paintbrushes. So what you need in terms of paintbrushes will depend on whether you want to paint a bigger canvas like this. This is 40 by 50 centimeters, or a smaller canvas like this, which is 20 by 30. So for instance, if we wanted to paint a bigger canvas, we would need a big paintbrush like this to put down the base layers, and then smaller brushes to put in the details. So these are the current brushes that I'm using on this canvas. I have one that is bristly to paint the splashes on the wave, two that form into a tip, which are perfect for the water and the details, and then one straight edged one. These will work great as well if you're painting a smaller painting like this, but something I also used for this painting was this brush, which is actually a makeup brush, and I used it to blend in the colors in the sky. And finally, if you're painting really small details, like for instance the details in the water here, you're going to need a really small thin brush. One last thing you need just to mix your paints is a palette knife. However, this isn't essential. If you don't have one, you could just use a paintbrush or a kitchen knife or even a fork. One last thing you need is a jar of water. Acrylics work best when they're mixed with water, so this will be your best friend while you're painting. Another great tip I have is to put your water in something like this so that you can spray your palette while you're painting to stop your acrylics from drying out. Oh no, I broke this, and this is my favorite thing ever. Finally, you need something to dry your paintbrushes on while you're painting to remove any excess water or paint. This can be an old t-shirt or a rag or whatever you have in your home. Okay, so that's all the essentials, and now let's look at some other things that I use while painting. First up, this is a medium that stops your acrylics from drying out quickly. However, you don't really need this. Water is perfect. I'd say I use this 10% of the time and water 90% of the time. Tape. To mark out the horizon line on a canvas, or if you're using paper, you can tape it down to your desk while you're painting so that it doesn't really move around. Varnish. So if you're planning on hanging up your painting on a wall and want to protect it over time, varnish is important. This comes in either a spray or a liquid. Finally, the last non-essential is an easel. This is the one that I use, but you really don't have to buy one. Just prop your painting up against a wall, or if it's a smaller painting, take anything, a pencil holder, a cup, literally anything, and place it on top of it. Okay, that's everything I use while I'm painting. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did and would like to see more, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, ask away in the comments.